Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Friday's market wrap-up here at TGO. That's Top Gun Options. My name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Wiz. And interesting week, folks. We're kind of hanging out at this precipice, looking at a quadruple top in the S&P 500. Dow's up, as I'm shooting, it's about 100 points. S&P's up 10 to 15 points. We're kind of in a holding pattern, waiting for the president to meet with the lead dude in charge of the China negotiations, China's special envoy, and we'll get to that in a second. Brazil still looking good. One of our solid trades. We looked at legging into a tactic that is called an iron condor. It means that I believe EWZ is going to remain range bound for the next couple weeks, and that trade's looking very, very nice. Put it on the other day, legged in there, and it's going right down the fairway. So really good looking trade on Brazil, up nearly 1% today, just about 48 cents. So Brazil is looking nice. Obviously, the closest alligator to the boat right now is the trade war, and obviously a potential trade war. Forgot to brief you this. I should have led with this. Reportedly, 1 dead, 15 injured, as Venezuelan National Guard soldiers opened fire on civilians. Remember, the president, the world community, or at least the quote-unquote good guys in the world community, are trying to get aid to people in Venezuela who literally are starving to death, man. Huge Venezuelan population here in South Florida. These guys that's obviously a crime against humanity. If I were President Trump, I'd get on TV and say, whoever is shooting civilians, we're going to track you down, and you're going to suffer the same fate. Stop it. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting weekend. What the hell does this have to do with the markets? Well, first of all, it has to deal with humanity, but second of all, it does have to do with the oil markets. Any big, huge volatility here in Venezuela impacts the oil markets. And if we're going to see the duly elected president, not Maduro, the other guy, according to their constitution, is the legally elected president, oil might see a rally. But at the end of the day, I agree with President Trump with the, hey, all options should be on the table. I'm with the man that we should be getting and reducing our foreign involvement in places. But this is in our backyard. Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran aren't necessarily in our backyard. Iran can be in our backyard if they're launching bottle rockets. So there's the difference. But anyway, folks, horrible situation down to the south in Venezuela. But we're seeing, I've kind of hit a brick wall with these China negotiations. There is no way on God's green earth this dude, he has the authority to negotiate on behalf of the Chinese people and the Chinese president. And he's going to meet with the president later in the Oval Office. It's going to look good. It'll be a great photo op. There's no way on God's green earth this dude's going to agree to stop stealing intellectual property, stop subsidizing Chinese businesses, and stop the forced transfer of technology. If he does agree to stop all those things, they're not going to do it. So I'm becoming more convinced day by day, especially as we run out of airspeed here, that the kind of the trade agreement rally, you're looking at it, or you've been sitting in it. I agree with Goldman Sachs, who said a couple weeks ago, hey, if you miss the January rally, you miss the rally for 2019. Once we get this trade deal behind us, I get that there's things right now are uncertain, right, folks? When something isn't known, people get nervous, and we're kind of climbing this wall of worry. Once something's known or certain, I get it that businesses, CFOs, CEOs can forecast better. Right now, if you're a CFO sitting in your boardroom and you have some sort of tie to China, it's a big question mark, right? You don't know the math. You don't know if we're going to have tariffs, more tariffs, less tariffs, no tariffs, a great deal, a bad deal. But once something signed, I get it. There's going to be a little bit of a relief, like, yay, that's behind us. But the devil is in the details. And I think there's absolutely zero enforcement mechanism. Of course, we can start firing again at each other and start the trade war over again if we find that one side ain't living up to the agreement. But it's just, the president had really good intentions. I just don't think it's going to matter. At the end of the day, there is no such thing as, the Chinese don't care about a trade war. To be honest with you, what are the Chinese people going to do? Call their local congressman and bitch and complain? They'll end up in a gulag. What are they going to do? Go to Tiananmen Square and protest against the government? Tried that once before. So in a trade war, it doesn't matter how bloody both sides get. The Chinese can get the bloodiest, literally. When they can dictate their people smiling at the end of a bayonet, until those people decide to rise up and take over, they're going to smile. It is about, as a Chinese admiral said a couple months ago, that we could care less about a trade war. This is about our strategic dominance in Asia and also around the world. So it's a little bit of kabuki theater with these trade talks. I think the president is going to, strut around like a peacock no matter what deal they get and say that we won. And I think the markets will get a little bit of a relief rally. But after that, we're in for a lot more volatility because the Fed, obviously, this week, one of the biggest things that happened was the Federal Reserve kind of, with the written word, the Fed minutes on Wednesday, kind of more or less agreeing what their spoken word. But today's really interesting. As the day goes on, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have like 9 Fed lieutenants, 8 or 9 Fed lieutenants speaking today in various places. Never seen this before. So throughout the day, it'll be interesting. Some of these are voting members, some are not. Bullard will be a big one. Williams will be a big one. But he is after the market close. So interesting to see what they're going to say. We got the spoken word on Wednesday. We had some horrific macroeconomic data this week. Existing home sales imploded to a 3-year low. Manufacturing PMI 17-month low. We're just not seeing a lot of good macroeconomic data. But guess what, folks? I officially proclaimed this week again that the market is in bizarro market. Bad news is good news. In the old days, before the Fed decided to get involved in capitalism in 2009, in the old days, bad news was bad news. Bad PMI, bad housing numbers, we would roll over and implode. Yesterday, when we got all these bad numbers, what happened? Dow was down about 50 points, and everybody shrugged. People smile at not people, the people in those numbers that are bad ain't smiling, new home buyers and all that stuff. I'm talking about the market. The market smiles and says, wow, with this awful economic news, the Fed's got to be our friend. They're not, this dude ain't raising interest rates anytime soon. Look at all the bad macroeconomic data, and the market goes higher. As a matter of fact, some clowns running around in the market saying, wow, if the macroeconomic data keep getting worse, this dude's going to cut interest rates. Holy shnikes, man. That's not good. Talk about, places or potential competitors at Top Gun Options that, essentially never have losing trades. Look who had a massive losing trade today, Warren Buffett. Remember years ago, Warren Buffett and 3G Capital bought Kraft Heinz. Guess how much Warren Buffett lost today? $4 billion in a single day. Kraft came out, cut their dividend, bad news, and oh, by the way, the SEC's investigating us. If you're an options trader or you're a member, I use this as an example of unusual options activity. Real quick story. In case you're not a member, you haven't heard this. Here's the story about Kraft Heinz and the Chinese. Let me tie this all together. Years ago, when Buffett and 3G Capital were going to buy Kraft Heinz, about a day or two before this announcement, there was about 80,000, I forget the exact number, but it was some ungodly amount of call options were bought 2 days before this announcement. I think the regular options activity in Kraft Heinz on a daily basis is maybe one call. I mean, every other leap year. There was just rarely any options activity in Kraft Heinz. But 2 days before the deal became public, somebody bought 80,000 calls. And obviously, when the deal was announced, these things went through the roof. They printed money. Well, come on, man. Our government ain't that stupid. FBI, SEC, the whole alphabet soup investigated. I'm going to let you know that I know for a fact that the DOD got involved. Why? Because when the SEC, FBI, all those guys started, it came from a Goldman Sachs account. This trade was placed through Goldman Sachs. Shocker. Goldman Sachs. That ain't us. We didn't do that. It was traced. Literally, the account was traced to Switzerland. Guess what? When they started digging deeper into the rabbit hole, the thing evaporated. Literally, they could not find where this trade came from, and it died. Guess who it was? It was the dudes on the 12th floor of the PLA, People's Liberation Army building. The PLA reads everything, folks. They're hacked into just about everything on Wall Street, and they were trading off of this. So last time, there you go. There's your little option story you can tell at a cocktail party tonight. The last time Kraft Heinz was in the news with Warren Buffett, somebody was illegally trading in front of that announcement, and it turned out to be the Chinese. But there you go, folks. If you feel bad, this week we had a great week. CSX Where's CSX? CSX is one of our huge trades, up another percent today. Look at that climb. We have Raytheon, MGM, FXI. Look at FXI, our iShares China ETF, up nearly 2% today. Look at that massive spike. Remember, folks, we have what we're calling a burner trade on, right? The 42, 41.5 bull put spread, and I bought some upside calls. That trade is printing money today. The only we looked to put on a bull put spread yesterday on MGM. That's getting a little slammed today, down nearly 2%. But remember, I put on this bull put spread as a China trade, right? Huge exposure to Macau. The overhang in MGM is China. I think if we get some sort of announcement on a deal, the casino stocks are going to have a rip your face off rally. So that's the only red on my screen today. Everything else is looking great. We have a weekly options trade on Amazon that's going right down the fairway. I looked a leg into an iron condor yesterday. The 1640, 1642.5 bear call spread is now at 25 cents. I think it was double that yesterday. We looked initially. The 1627.5 or 1625, 1627.5 initially ran away from me. Even if you got filled on that one, day ain't over yet. That's hovering around break even right now. That might even look good. So we're looking at a potential weekly options trade profit of about $3,800. 4 days, one trade, $3,800 on about $3,000 in risk. So we're having a blast here. Dow on course for 9th consecutive week of gains. Yay, that's awesome, Wiz. Well, it is, unless you recognize for the first time since 2000, most assets are overbought. What's overbought? Everything. Everything is overbought. S&P 500, the 2-year, the 10-year, oil, and gold. You name it, it's overbought right now. Now, some of you could look at that and say, wow, that just means we're heading higher. And some of you, like me, usually do a glasses half full and think we're going to head lower here and maybe sell on the trade news, okay? So next week is going to be an incredibly pivotal week in this market. We're either going pulled down to this 200-day moving average or rallying higher. Only one of those two things are going to happen. We're in a very binary market. Thing either gets slammed or it either has a rip-your-face-off rally. Very, very volatile, even though volatility is at getting back towards resting heart rate lows. What's the VIX at today? VIX. Yeah, I'm getting smashed. Look at this. We're down to 13. We're back to nearly... Look at this, back before October 3rd when the Fed ended capitalism. Look at this, folks. We were down here around 12, 13 back here before we got all the way up to 36. So next week, absolute critical week. So what are you going to do if you're not a TGO member? You're going to sign up for next week. $38. I'm going to go out and on Las Olas tonight in Fort Lauderdale. I'm going to have a glass of 42 to kick off the night, 1942 tequila. It's about $45. One glass of tequila. For less than one glass of tequila here in Fort Lauderdale, you're going to get airborne for next week for 4 live trade briefs. That's $38 if you don't understand. And that's essentially... for a full week, no kidding, if I broke it up, that's probably about $450 what we'd normally charge just for a week of access to our live trading services. Going to be charge you $38. That's it. Go.topgunoptions.com/goflight. Just like the movie Apollo 13, right? I'm go for flight. Go.topgunoptions.com/goflight. And for $38, get airborne into our trade briefs for next week because you do not want to be flying around this market solo. Okay? I got to get going. I have a coaching session right now. Right now, and then 3 of them this afternoon. Have personal coaching clients. They get access to my cell phone, my email. We talk throughout the day or a couple times a week. So if you're interested in personal coaching, you can obviously reach out to me and let me know. Okay? Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and God bless. I'll talk to you for Monday's Market Outlook.